Glory to Jesus Christ. You are listening to the voice of reason. And today's episode is one of the most important that I've ever done and that I will ever do, because today we are talking about a matter of life and death. I'm joined here today by a brother of mine, a true friend from my parish community. I want to introduce the world to Miles Gloetzner. Miles, how are you doing, my friend?
Doing good. Thanks for having me today.
Thank you for having me here.
Yeah.
I want you to tell the audience where we're sitting, what we're doing here, and what this is about.
Okay. You are sitting in the first home for the dying in Albuquerque. It's a one-of-kind project. It's Catholic founded, Catholic principles, and it's really the only pro-life, at the end of life organization in all of New Mexico.
We are sitting in a home for the dying.
That's right.
As we're sitting here today, the home hasn't opened yet, but it's going to be open here in a couple of weeks, am I correct?
Yeah, a little longer. But yeah, here in the middle of November, we'll be opening. So there'll be room for up to 3, we call them guests at a time, those in their last weeks of life who don't have support or the resources, because unfortunately dying in the US is really expensive. And it's also really hard on people who are already strained for time and resources. So when people reach the end of their life, they need 24/7 support. And unfortunately, our society isn't really supportive of these people in these dire situations. So we're having human beings made in God's image, dying in ERs, dying in the streets, institutionalized rather than in a loving family. So this home will be a family for those that don't have family, or a family support for those that have family but who can't just up and leave their jobs to provide that 24/7 care.
Wow. And what inspired you to do this? What is the name of this organization that you started, this nonprofit that is going to take care of those who are dying in their final days? What is the name?
The name is Inhora, Inhora, from the Latin recitation of the Holy Rosary. So we have a strong devotion to Our Lady. There's nothing like her in our hearts and in this home. So nunc et in hora mortis nostrae, amen. So now and at the hour of our death, amen. So that one phrase by itself means at the hour, or in the moment, because it really applies to this organization in a few different ways. One is because we're meeting people in the hour that they need us most, at the hour when they need family, they need somebody to let them know that they're dignified. There's a better option than ending their life, that they have a community and support and a home that they can go to. So we're at the hour for them. We're at the hour for our country when people are leaving the healthcare field in droves because doctors and nurses aren't treated like humans, and they're recycled and kind of chewed up, spit out, and left to the wayside once they get the most out of it and burn out. So we're there for them to hopefully renew and energize people that want to be in healthcare, but are also fed up with a system that's breaking and failing, to really meet that human need and of the patients they're caring for, but then also of those nurses and doctors who are getting burnt out. So then we're at the hour for that. And then we're at the hour when our society has been living in this fear of death for so long, and the stigmatization where we're putting it behind doors, and the way that we show it on TV is just so unreal. And we all know from experience what death is really like, and we also know what it can be like. And it's not in a hospital, and it's almost always at home. You know, that's what most people want according to the statistics. So we're at the hour in that case as well, to educate people, to let them know, hey, we need to start talking about death. We need to start taking our dying into our own care and into our own love, and receiving them into as important community members again, rather than shoving them away.
I want you to tell me about your background. I want you to tell me about your family. I want you to tell me about what led up to you doing this, because of all of the ways that we can practice the works of mercy. Why this? Why are you doing this?
Yeah, it started with great parents. My two parents raised me in a good Protestant household, going to church and learning the scriptures. As a young person, I started to dig into the faith on my own. I got into anarchist punk rock, but it was straight edge and pretty incredible story. Maybe another time, but I'll just kind of to wet that a little bit. But I would have these shirts, God's not dead. I would, stand up for the faith as a Protestant Christian in the time, and I just took it really seriously. So at the same time, my parents, they were really patient, understanding, gave me space to go through it, but really encouraged this type of compassion. So they're foster parents for a number of children, mainly those experiencing disabilities. So that was my everyday thing. Great siblings, all from that. And then my dad was always really vocal about his faith too. Everywhere we'd go, snowboarding, sports fields, gas stations, he'd talk about his faith and share that with people around him who were willing to listen. So I guess kind of this blend of compassion and sweetness, this even a balance between my mom and my dad. I think I got those things passed on to me and continued. So I started to do some mission work, even going to Thailand, international stuff. Now jumping ahead, I got a career in nursing. I had a mentor who said, you seem like this is good, like nursing is going to be a good fit for you. And I took him up on it. I knew I could support my family with it too, so I decided to go for it. And I've had an amazing career in nursing. I've been a VA nurse the entire time, years and years here at the local VA. It's been awesome. Just Thursday was my last day, so I'm doing this project now full time. And where did the project come from? So it was 2 years ago. I woke up in the middle of the night and just had these inspirations and ideas that came. So I wrote it all down. And had a lot of inspiration and just excitement about it. And at the same time, it wasn't the right time. So come about a year later, which would have been September of 2023, I had a friend who told me about an organization that already existed and was doing what I had dreamed and imagined could happen. And that organization is called the Omega Home Network. And it just lined up exactly with what I wanted to do and what I felt the Lord moving in my heart to do. So,
What does this organization do, Omega? What do they do?
So all around the U.S., people are getting this idea of starting a home for the dying. So Omega Home Network, they bring them together so that there's a system and kind of a method that everybody's agreeing on, and then invites them to conversations, conferences, and improves practices and things like that. So,
Wow.
Yeah, it's a great organization.
So you're doing this full time now, and before this, you worked at the VA hospital, right?
Yeah, that's right.
How long did you do that?
I did that about 8 years.
About 8 years. Wow.
Yeah.
And you, because I know you obviously personally. I know your background. You worked as an EMT, you in ambulances. You being, what you do, being in nursing, you have been face to face with this for so long.
Right.
And God bless your parents.
Yeah.
God bless your parents that they did such a great job and instilling those values in you. And now you're doing this here. I have to tell you something. I'm a very anxious person. I'm very anxious. I'm very fidgety. And from the moment that I walked in here, I don't know what it is. I sat here and I'm, obviously the audience won't be able to see right now, but we're surrounded by, we have furniture all around us and doors off the hinges, and this is still coming together. But I'm sitting here and I don't know why, I feel a peace as soon as I walked in, I felt something change. It was really strange. It was really, really strange. And I say that to say that I feel like the Spirit of God is here, and what you're doing is something that is really going to glorify God and really change the community.
Yeah.
And I felt it immediately as soon as I walked in, and then now here, after, with what you just said to me, I wanted to say it out loud, and I wanted to let you know there's something. I don't know if my cameraman can feel it behind the camera. I don't know, but I feel something special here, and I just want to learn more. I want to tell me more about how this came together. How long did it take you to get this home? Just tell me about the process. Tell me how it all came together.
Okay. And thanks for sharing that. I appreciate it. When we first came in, I kind of had maybe a different experience when we first came into the house, but it has gone through transformation. We had a divine liturgy celebrated right here. Very first
that explains
day.
it.
Yeah. The very first day that we received, that the lease started, I wanted to make sure to have a divine liturgy here. So Father Tyler Strand came and celebrated it with about 30 or so people. So started off right and strong, and we're determined to make this a sanctified and place of peace. So I'm glad you're sensing that already.
I didn't know that you guys had a divine liturgy here.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, pretty amazing.
So that explains why I feel the way that I feel when I step
Right.
into Our Lady of Perpetual Help, our local parish. That's very special.
It is, yeah. So it's amazing. So it was September last year, I mentioned. I went and visited a couple of these homes for the dying through the Omega Network. Got an idea of what it could look like, and some of the more practical stuff. Some amazing folk through those excursions. It was actually when I was on pilgrimage for the Three Hearts pilgrimage in Tulsa to Clear Creek Abbey. I took my family out there, and as one of the side things I did, I went and checked out 2 of these homes. So that's how that worked out. But that gave me a boost, and I decided to move forward with it, whatever that meant. I'd never done anything like this before, but I was definitely ready, and I had a partner, Abraham Placencio, eternal memory, blessed repose. He died in March. Good and dear friend of mine, but we started this project together, side by side, and started to build things up from the ground. A board of directors was formed in November, and it's been growing since. We're 7 strong. And yeah, let's see here. Another Marian connection, I'll mention it. The Feast of the Holy Protection, October 1st, was the first time we received we publicly said that we're starting this project. And Father Artur at Our Lady of Perpetual Help gave us a public blessing on October 1st. So we just celebrated basically our first anniversary of this project. So this house is owned by Immaculate Conception Parish in downtown Albuquerque, and it's gone through multiple uses. The most recent was just tenants, kind of like a charity tenant type situation. And they had put out a request for proposal. I think it was back in May even. So we were one of the organizations that put the proposal and said, we want this home. We think it's made for us. It's got all the features that we could ever want. We think it's just right. And then we just waited it out and eventually sealed the deal. So they've been gracious to us. They're letting us rent it at a discounted price for the first few months too, which is awesome. But it's right in the middle of Albuquerque, biggest city in the state, busiest part of town.
Right.
So it's amazing to be here.
Right.
Yeah.
And the need, I don't know if you would know maybe off the top of your head, like the statistics of how many people here in this city die. I would imagine that with your experience in the medical field, that you've seen it yourself, and you would more or less know from firsthand experience. How many people, like you said, die in emergency rooms or on the streets, and why is it so important that they have a place like this where they can see the end of their life.
Yeah. Yeah. I ran the statistics, and in New Mexico, there is a huge need for a home like this. Through the data, people want to die in a home, but as people get closer to the end of their life, it kind of becomes less and less possible and realistic for a number of people, except maybe middle class or wealthy and such. So for people who are already homeless or under the poverty level, or even just blue collar folk, something like a loving home isn't even an option, and that's just not right. So I'm not remembering the exact numbers, but I know it's 280-ish about a month who would want to die in a home and aren't dying in a home because of the reasons I described, because they don't have enough money or they don't have family support, and that's not right.
280 a month.
Just in our area, so
Right.
yeah, who are dying in hospitals and institutions instead of.
Wow.
So my personal experience in the hospital, I've got to say the VA treats veterans amazing. All of my experiences, even caring for people that were dying, were very positive. Absolutely, but it's really hard for nurses, especially in the public, who want to give every patient all the time that they have,
Right.
but they're giving these patient to nurse ratios that are impossible to manage in a safe and effective and personal way. So unfortunately, yeah, that's where people show up at an ER because, let's say hospice, there was maybe a change of mind, or maybe there was an ER need, or maybe the family just said, I can't handle it anymore, so I need to take them to the hospital, when the person never wanted to in the first place, so they end up getting dropped off. And then the nurses that are there, they want to do better, they want to support, they want to be at the side, that person who's dying, and they just can't. So that's one of the reasons that nurses and such are leaving, is because we aren't able to have that personal connection with our patients anymore. Or there's too many people, not enough time, too much paperwork, and now nurses can be sued for anything, doctors as well. So there's just so many risks. It's scary to enter the healthcare field.
So in a little bit under a month, this home is going to be up and running. It is going to be fully functional, and you are going to have guests that are here, that are staying where they will die, where their life will end here in this home. What is that going to look like? What does this home look like when it's operational?
Yeah, a lot of people, when we think of death, we think of maybe going the other direction. We don't think of it being energizing, or maybe even a beautiful thing. And maybe that's because of our personal experiences of maybe losing a loved one in a traumatic way, or in a situation that was unideal, or with family conflict and stuff. So yeah, to start a home in the work of death is a really awesome opportunity. So the reason we're doing it and how we're going to do it, I think that's more of your question, is how we're going to be doing it. So we'll be caring for up to 3 guests at a time, people that are at their end. We will have space for their loved ones to be here too. We've hired a professional chef who's going to be cooking some awesome food. We want to make sure that the last meal, the last bite that somebody has is going to be worthy of where they are in life, and also comforting to the family. Food is so important. We're going to have, it's going to feel like a home. That's kind of the easy way. We're going to be eating off of real plates. We're going to be eating real food. We're going to be having, family time, conversations. Families are going to be able to stay the night if they want. If somebody loves mariachi music, I was talking to a gentleman today about a funeral he went to, playing mariachi music, That's going to be happening in the home, music. We'll have a lot of volunteers in and out through the day, just bringing love and welcoming these people into their hearts and into our Albuquerque community, rather than rejecting them and saying, you're at the end of your life, you're not useful anymore, you've done your part, and because you don't have a purpose for us, you can get out of here, you can die, you can get behind a door, but we're taking the opposite approach, that those people at the end actually are still part of that human family, part of our community, and worth love.
And how many people does it take to run this home when you have up to 3 guests at a time? How many people do you need to? I would imagine with people that are here that are dying, you would need actual medical personnel. Am I correct in saying that, to be here to help? Or?
Yeah, thanks for asking that question. It's an important distinction. We are not a hospice organization, so hospice is a partner of our home. So everybody that comes to the home will be connected to a hospice business.
Okay.
So all of the medical care will be taken care through the hospice side.
Okay.
That includes nurse visits, doctor oversight, prescription of medications. All that's taken care of.
Okay.
On the medical side of things. And Medicare, Medicaid will cover those expenses. But it doesn't, that insurance doesn't cover 24/7 caregiving, and it doesn't pay for a home.
Right.
So that's where we come in, is hospice is able to provide so many nursing assistant visits, so to help with, showering, bathing, these types of things. And then the nurses will come in for some more technical, and the doctor will come as needed. And there's chaplains on staff too with these hospice organizations, so they'll take care of that stuff. And we're going to be the family members, the brothers and sisters for these people, the sons and daughters, in a sense, for those that don't have those people around, or who are working during the day and are only able to be here at night and such. So we aren't providing medical care. We're providing the home and 24/7 non-medical caregiving.
Right. I remember, when was this, when we did the interview with Father Chris? We talked to Father Chris at the parish, and we were talking about people that die alone.
Okay.
And I remember we were talking about that, and we were talking about the reasons and the causes of people dying alone, and people that for whatever reason they never had children, or they were, an only child, and they had no family. And it's a bigger problem than most of us think. We don't realize how many people die alone. And you are going to help fix that problem by making sure that strangers, people that you don't know, people that you've never met, people that aren't part of your family, people that you've never seen before a day in your life, that they don't die alone.
Yeah, that's Abraham, the co-founder in this. That was one of his big missions in saying, is that no one should die alone. Sadly, he died alone back in March. So we're continuing that legacy and that mission that he wasn't able to through this home. So yeah, it's so powerful. Nobody should die alone.
Tell me about what motivates you to do something like this. Because you have a beautiful family, by the way. Beautiful. How many kids do you have?
I've got 6 kids.
6 kids. 6 beautiful kids.
They are.
So for the audience to know, so everyone knows that I'm Byzantine Catholic, and when I first started going to my Byzantine church, the very first time that I ever went there, it was in the summer of 2021. The very first time that I ever stepped into that church, I go in, it's me and my dad, and we go in and we're sitting right in the center. I just go in and I said, I want to be front and center. I want to see everything. We're in the center. It's me and my dad. Neither of us had ever been to an Eastern liturgy before. And we have no idea what's going on. Everything looks different. Everything sounds different. Everything smells different. It's like we were transported to like another world. And the very first person, the that day, the only person that came up to greet me and my father and to welcome us to that parish was you. You were the one, Miles, that came up to me and you had the books and you gave me a book and you gave my dad a book and you said, if you have any questions about how to follow along, let me know. I'm right here. And you were sitting in front of us. And I, to this day, sit in that same spot in that parish. And you and your family sit in front of me. So I'm always behind you and your family. And I see you. I see your beautiful wife, Savannah, all your beautiful 6 kids that you have. And I see that, and you guys are always in front of me, so I'm always watching, and I say, what a holy family. What a beautiful, holy family. What a beautiful father, what a beautiful mother, what great kids. And I know all of this, I know this, but I want you to share with the audience what inspires a man with wife and 6 kids, a great career, and working at the hospital nursing, to now start something new. What is the inspiration for this for you personally?
I've got to be a little crazy. I think that's why I'm a little bit extreme. I mentioned in passing earlier that I was an anarchist punk growing up.
I love that, by the way.
It was, yeah, I still have that in me, this hope that things can be better. So with anarchy, believing that people actually can get along, that people actually could. Now I realize that it's not a reality, but I have this dream of a better world, of a better place. And I had this dream in this situation that my dying loved ones, my dying neighbors, the dying in our community deserve better than what they have. And I'm crazy enough to believe that it's possible and to try, and it's happening.
When we think about all of the issues in societies and the issues that plague the world, if you were to put them on a list, I don't think that very many people on their list that they would have people dying alone very high, because most of us, we tend to think of the children, we tend to think of creating circumstances that allow for a better future.
Right.
That's what we tend to think of when we think of fixing things. We want the future to be better. But what you're doing here is that you fast forwarded all the way to the very end. And we don't know what the future holds, but you do know what the future holds. You know what the end holds for the people that you're going to be caring for here, that you're going to be living with here. Mm-hmm. Why is it so important? Why? Why is it so important that people don't die alone? Why is it so important for people like you, for the people that you're going to be having volunteer here to help, to turn this turn this house into a home? Why is it so important that we do that? Because we know that the corporal works of mercy are about caring for those who are in all states of life, but who are about to die as well. Give us the theology behind it. Give us the Christian perspective behind this idea of being with people in their final moments.
We believe that every person is irrepeatable, irreplaceable. There's no one like them in the whole world, and they have a unique value that should be respected from conception to natural death. So it's as easy as that. And you're right that if we look around, a lot of Catholics especially, and in Protestant Christians, our brothers and sisters there, we focus on the beginning of life.
Right.
We focus on ending abortion. And we've overlooked what I think is a more serious abortion, which is the institutionalization of those who are despairing and on their deathbeds. Because when somebody's in that situation, there's no other hope for them when a baby dies, we believe that they would go right to heaven, and the parents who would have made that horrible and hard decision, they have time to repent. They have time to get healing. They have time
Right.
to grieve, to process. But somebody at the end of life who is in despair, who is alone, they don't have that time. And now in New Mexico, we have some of the most progressive legislature in medical aid in dying and euthanasia. So the reason that this should matter so much to Christian people and to anybody is because we know life doesn't end at death.
Right.
And if somebody is in this horrible situation at the end of their life and makes this pressured decision, I think that the reason a lot of people are choosing something like medical aid in dying is because they don't have love in their life. They don't have the supportive system, or they have a sense that their life doesn't matter anymore because they're not able to contribute. They're not able to do something to make society better. There's so many reasons, and like you said, you talked with Father Chris about them. Nobody should have to be in that position, and it's so vulnerable. You know, if they're afraid of dying, they're in pain, they're alone, they're facing this hard thing, their last days. And especially given our culture has stigmatized death and put it aside, and now through medicalization is even causing death. It's this over-medicalization and this dehumanizing of the human person that brought us here. So we're doing this because humans deserve better. People deserve better. They deserve dignity and compassion. They deserve family. They deserve everything that they may not have had in their life up until at least the end of life. If maybe the rest of their life was miserable, maybe they didn't have these things, let's at least give them the dignity that they deserve at the end of life.
How do you think that we got to this point right now in our society that people in power, people that call the shots, that they hasten a person's death? You mentioned medical aid in dying, which is basically it's euthanasia. It's helping people, it's killing people, is what it is.
Yeah, helping people commit suicide.
You're helping people commit suicide. We call, that abortion, that's all the culture of death. Why are we in a culture of death right now?
That's a huge question. I know you know it is, and I'm sure there's lots of factors. My wife would be proud of me though, to point out theology of the body. I think that we've lost a sense of our bodies as being sacred and good. And if we would go back to that simple fact that every life matters, regardless of disability. I mean, we know from the statistics and such that people are doing selective abortions to kill children that might have disabilities, as if somebody with a disability is less human and should just be killed rather than welcomed. So we have this sense, and similar, the understanding at the end of life is it costs too much money. It's expensive. It's not worth our time. What are they doing for me? We're putting all this money and time into them, and they aren't giving anything to community. They're costing society, but they're not contributing and giving back. So why put all of this money? Let's just kill them. Let's just make it accessible, make it easy, give them a medication, and let them die like that. And I find it so strange because a lot of people in death care, in the death care movement, we believe that the healthcare system, which is failing in a lot of ways, isn't the solution to care for those who are dying. It's not their job. The hospital exists for people who have a disease that can be treated, and primary care providers, they're working on managing chronic healthcare conditions and such. But the hospital in particular, it's not a place for the dying. It was never meant to be, and it shouldn't be. And yet, that's what we're seeing in TV, that's what we're seeing in sitcoms, that's what we've normalized, is this idea that people belong outside of the home, outside of the community. So I feel like this sense of over-medicalization of the dying process is now paving the way to medicalize dying to the point of being able to say, okay, I've done enough, or I don't feel like my life matters anymore, or I want to go on my own terms, and I'll just take a pill and just end it.
Dying becomes a medical decision rather than you're passing into the next life.
Yeah. So it's strange because a lot of my friends and peers in this movement, we realize that medicalization has caused a lot of the problems, and yet we're going back to a pharmaceutical to kill people, and we're calling that a good death and death with dignity and a compassionate death. It doesn't make any sense. I find a real contradiction in that, for sure. Yeah.
I think that this is the result of when a society starts treating the government or the experts as God.
Yes.
I think this is what we get.
Yeah, and not just as God, but as we're relying on the government to do something that the community should be doing. Right? It's always been the church and Christians who have inspired even hospitals and schools and all of these great things. And it seems like when the government gets their dirty hands on things,
They ruin everything.
Then they ruin it. And that's exactly where we are. That's exactly, yeah.
I love the idea of Catholics taking back our institutions and doing them the right way, the way that they were always done, the way that they were meant to be. I love that idea of the first nurses were Catholic nuns, monks that took care of those who were sick and dying. Precisely in the way that you're doing it now. You are doing what the earliest Christians did.
Yeah, we're going back.
And what Christians have always done for the last 2,000 years. That's what you're doing in really exactly the same way. And I think that Christians need to reclaim that.
Yes.
They
100%.
need to remember what was started by the forerunners of the faith. And we need to continue, and we need to carry that on, because it seems like it's something that is, like you had mentioned, we don't put that much thought or importance on the end of life. So what can I do to help Inhora? What can the viewers who are watching this right now? And I don't know if this will translate into the video so that you guys will not be able to feel what I'm feeling right now, sitting here in this house, next to my dear brother Miles. Me being here with you and talking to you and just seeing the facility, seeing the home, the house, this is a house. It's really inspired something within me now. I feel like I want to quit. I guess I'm not going to quit Voice of Reason, am I? But I almost feel like I want to drop everything and be here with you.
Come hang out with us.
I feel like I want to drop everything now and come be here with you and help you move the furniture and help you paint. And I just got my heart broken just now outside talking to a landscaper. A landscaper outside that's saving a beautiful shrine to Our Lady outside here in the garden that is it's tilting over, and eventually will tilt all the way over, and it will destroy it. And he's trying to save it. And as Miles was giving me the tour, I go outside, and this one guy is this huge. How much do you think that thing weighs? That big
No
shrine
idea.
by
It's
himself. He's
huge,
holding it
huge,
up with
huge,
like
yeah.
it's like on stilts, and he's trying to save it, and he's trying to put dirt under it to level it, and he just for some reason opened up to us and started telling us about his life and about how he lost his son when he was 22 years old. How his son was, again, we're talking about the culture of death. His son was taken away from him. His son was killed. How he almost lost his daughter. I walked in here not knowing what to expect. I walked here and I knew this house, by the way. And I told you this before we started filming. I had friends who used to live in this home. Friends that were Jesuit missionaries, lay people, young people, who used to live in this very home. And on Sundays, I used to come here and I used to pick them up and I would take them to church. And they went to Our Lady of Perpetual Help. I think you've met them. And when I pulled up here, I didn't realize that it was the same home. And then I walk in and I feel this presence and talking to you, and you show us everything, and I meet the gentleman outside who's the landscaper, and now I honestly, sincerely feel like I should drop everything that I'm doing and be here with you to help you.
Don't stop, Voice of Reason. But come and volunteer. So we're going to need 24/7 volunteer support. Not everybody might be comfortable, sitting at the bedside.
Right.
But there's plenty to do, even leading up to our opening in November. Yeah.
So what does one have to do to be able to volunteer? Do they have to go through a process of screening, certification? What does one have to do to volunteer to be here?
Yeah, not certification, but we do provide a caregiver training program. Okay. We just had our first one earlier this month, and we'll have our second on November 10th, right here in the home. So going through that will be required in order to be like a caregiver. And then definitely background checks. We're going to require that, and we're going to get continuous running ones just to make sure everybody's totally safe and everything's transparent and open. So that'd be required as well, for sure.
And for the viewers, what can they do to help you? Because you're running this, again, beautiful family, 6 kids. You left your job to come and do this endeavor. This is going to go up on YouTube. Thousands and thousands and thousands and tens of thousands of people, and who knows who's going to see this. What can the audience do to help you?
Yeah. For those that are in Albuquerque, you could volunteer. For those that aren't, please pray for us. We definitely need prayers, and we're dedicated to Our Lady. From our very name to our logo, everything is, covered under her blue mantle and patronage. So that's really important. Besides that, donate. If you can give $20 a month, that'd be amazing. $10 a month or a one-time donation. Anything helps at this point. And to give, even if you're far away, makes you part of the mission. You're as important as us who are doing the hands-on work. So if you can't be here, or maybe you're in Albuquerque and you just don't have it in you to sit with the dying person, that's not your calling. That's totally okay. But to give, you are sheltering Jesus. I didn't mention it earlier, but it's Saint Mother Teresa who told us that Jesus is hidden in the distressing disguise of the suffering. So when you give, you are giving Jesus clothes, right? Because the people in this home, the dying, might need clothes. If they didn't come with any or don't have the family, you're giving them a home and shelter. So you're housing Jesus in a way. You're giving Jesus an amazing chef-made meal, giving them an amazing last meal. And you're making it possible for somebody to be with Jesus at the cross. These people are experiencing their passion, So by caring for them, by touching them, by feeding them, sheltering them, you're doing it unto the Lord, and He's going to receive it as if it came directly from your hands. So if that's on your heart and you're tugged, then join us that way.
We're going to put your website in the link below. Everyone, go to the website, check out Inhora, support in any way that you can, in any way that God is calling you to support. What my brother Miles is doing here has an importance that reverberates to the other side of eternity. And I can imagine when you move on to your heavenly reward at the end of your life, you're going to be greeted by all the people here that you said goodbye to.
Yeah.
They will say hello to you, along with Mother Cabrini and all of the countless saints for the last 2,000 years that have done exactly what you are doing now. Everyone, please click on the link, go to the website, help in any way that you can, and please pray for this endeavor. And I'm gonna be here. I'm gonna be here a lot.
That's
if
awesome.
that's okay with you.
Absolutely.
I would like to be here a lot, and you've left me speechless.
I appreciate you, Alex. And I just wanted to add on to, you said that, I would be there and would see these people, but I just want to throw in there, we will. Whether you're praying for us or donating, you may not be able to see the people's face that you're helping, but in that day you will, and they're going to be so grateful for anything that you were able to do, for any prayer you were able to say. So it means so much.
Miles, thank you so much for sitting down with me. We know that you're very busy right now to get everything together. We know that you are having a ribbon cutting ceremony with the city. And tell us again the date. That's in November.
That's right, November 4th at 10 a.m. here at the Inhora House at 708 Tejeras Avenue, northeast, downtown Albuquerque.
Northwest, is it northwest?
Northwest. Thank you for the correction. Yeah.
708 Tejeras Avenue Northwest.
Thank you.
Ribbon cutting ceremony, November 4th, 10 a.m. you said?
Yep. Yeah, see the place. You can tour it, check it out. And if you happen to be in Albuquerque down the line, come in, visit. It'd be awesome.
Miles, thank you so much for sitting down with me. God bless you, and God bless the beautiful work that you're doing. You are feeding and clothing and comforting Jesus in his last moments. And that's what God calls all of us to do. So
That's right.
thank you so much, Miles.
Thanks,
God bless
Alex.
you.
This has been great.
And
Appreciate
thank
you.
everybody for watching. Thank you all for watching, and thank you all for your support. And let's make Inhora. Let's make it the reason that Miles gets canonized. That's my goal, for this to be the reason that you one day will have your own beautiful icon.
And a lot more, and a lot more.
And all of your friends
Everything.
and family in heaven with you, or the people that you took care of here. Miles, thank you again. God bless. Thank you for everything that you've done from that first moment that I met you, when you said hello to me and my father, and you made us feel welcome at Our Lady. My first moment in that parish to the final moments of every single person that will be living here. Thank you for showing Christ to the world.
You're welcome.
Thank you. God bless you.
Thank you.